Welcome to Not Married to the Name. I am Deuce Dangler, and
And I am Pabst.
we're gonna just see what happens here. We sit in Discord when we are done gaming every night, and we'll talk for, you know, an hour until this guy says he has to go to bed like 14 times. So we figured we might as well bring some of that conversation to a platform and see how it goes. So I'll let you introduce yourself real quick, and we'll keep it brief.
All right. Basically, here, I'll turn my camera here. I come from a farming family, farming background. Grew up playing video games and working outside. Started with the Nintendo original and worked my way up through all the different consoles. Um, Besides video games, I'm into motocross, four wheeling, cars, sports, all sorts of different things. So, got two different business degrees, one in marketing and one in management. And then I've also got a
Oh,
business
showboat.
degree in education. So been working in sales and education and all sorts of different things. And I am pumped for this podcast. So I'll
Yeah,
kick it over.
I think So my name is Deuce. Uh, shit, I flow through life for the most part. I come from a working class family from the Bay Area in California. I now live in Oklahoma. I kind of run a little graphic design and embroidery business out of my house, and that's pretty much it for me. I've been gaming. Started on the original Nintendo. Um, Played my first computer game would have been Duke Nukem, and then Quake. Even though that's not the order they came out in, but yeah, I've been basically an FPS gamer all of my life, and I finally found a game I'm married to.
He's got an abnormally high bed, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, this is I built this bed frame. It's about 4.5 feet up. It's nice. It's so my dogs can't jump on the bed because
You've got
they like
you
to.
got some other hobbies too. Like that what you got built in your house there.
Oh yeah, I skateboard sometimes. I'm a little old for that now. I try and stay relatively in shape, so I find activities that I enjoy to do. But yeah, I I'm kind of a jack of all trades, master of my dick. So yeah, but I'm primarily a gamer. I spend a lot of my time gaming. I wasted a lot of the last couple years playing Tarkov and a lot of RP, a lot of RP. Red Dead started with Red Dead, moved over to Grand Theft Auto. I still like Red Dead more, but Grand Theft Auto, the city, is just a little bit more bearable with population size. It's more going on. But anyway, me and Paps here met in Wreckfest, of all things. A terrible
Yeah,
game,
we're
terrible, terrible game.
both streamers. We were both kind of coming into a server that was somewhat popular with a group of people, and we were both streamers, and we both ended up getting a lot of viewership from the game Wreckfest and having fun. It's a pretty casual game that you can just drive around in, so that's kind of the appeal with that game.
It can be
24
played either
people
way.
can be in a lobby.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
and
can take it real serious.
mhm.
Some and they have leagues and stuff in the game. They're all run by the players, but yeah, there's a wide variety of players that play that game. There's people that do it casually every Friday, and there's people that grind it real hard and cry about how they're the best in the world. Out of 10 racers in the world total, they think they're the best. So whatever. Good job, cheesy.
Yeah. Even though they have mods on.
Yeah, mods, you fucking cheaters, you fucking dirty cheaters. Um, other than that,
Wreckfest 2 did get announced, so Deuce and I will make an appearance probably in Wreckfest 2.
yep.
Maybe if we don't have to pay $60 for it, we'll see.
Depends on how
I
Bitcoin's
forgot about
doing.
that.
If Bitcoin's doing good, I'll buy the game at full price.
Yeah.
um, yeah. So this is pretty much an introductory episode to the little thing we got going on here. So we're just gonna give a brief little insight into not really our daily lives, but just kind of our gaming history and games we played, games we do play, what we hate, what we like, and if you want to lead off with a couple, we don't have to do every game in your pile there, but you can do,
I know.
your top three for now.
It is hard to pick a top three video games.
I say top three with the caveat being it doesn't have to be good by today's standards anymore. It's good based on your memory of the game
I agree.
because gaming has
So
changed so much since we started. So
even for example, when I was thinking about it, like I wouldn't consider Wreckfest anywhere near my top favorites, but I've put in so many hours into a game like that just because of the social community now. But when I think about favorite games that I could play alone in my house growing up, that's that's what I was kind of leaning for when I was picking these. But
mine will be
um,
similar, mostly
Nintendo,
multiplayer though.
obviously the Mario games are good, but I'm not going to put games like that on my list. Um, Start out here with an instant classic.
If
We've got
San Andreas.
GTA San Andreas.
So, I actually have the physical copy of. That's one of the only games I have a physical copy of still,
Did
and
you have the
it's.
map? The
I
map of
think I have
the
the map still. Yeah, it's not a greatest
training.
hits either. It's the original. So
So I think anyone who's played this game remembers the cheats for weapons for the like unlock wanted level. I don't remember them all by heart, but I'm sure if you put a controller in my hand, I'd be able to figure it out.
yeah, I felt guilty using those, but
R1, R2, L1,
yeah,
R2, left down, right up, left down, right up.
yeah, I remember them.
And then yeah, that's one of my favorites. I don't know, did you play that quite a bit?
I played the shit out of San Andreas. I started with three, obviously. I think most people within our
Yep.
two generations. I'm a little bit older than you are. I was born in the late '80s, and I'm sure you were born in what the mid '90s.
Yep, mid 90s, so I'm
Yeah,
about
so
30.
yeah, so I started with the original Grand Theft Auto, and when I got it, my mom was like, "No, you can't have this game." So of course, I had a friend whose sister bought it for him, and then he sold it to me. But yeah, I spent a lot of time in Grand Theft Auto in general. I'd say the time I spent the least in outside of except for RP would be GTA 5. The game's fun,
Really?
but it doesn't have the raw grittiness of the first two. There's a little bit different. The story focus is a little different. It's more
I,
character building in the new ones.
I'd
So
say some of my favorite memories of GTA are just some of them would be like the difficult missions with the train. I remember just getting a group of guys in a house and trying to take turns playing that.
mm-hmm.
I also remember driving to Dillmore where you could play two player and you just basically would make one guy look like a you'd have to have a pre-built character so you'd
Yeah,
make him look super funny like a
I
redneck.
I honestly don't remember that. I didn't have friends as a child. I'm just kidding.
Oh. I remember the planes were super hard to drive. So you'd get two player and you'd finally
Because they
like
didn't
you try
have
to
them
go steal the jet
in
and then
GTA
one guy would
4.
have to stand on the jet on the top of
I don't
it.
remember all that because I didn't play a lot of multiplayer until uh, the game that I'd say is my favorite, probably my number one game of all time because it kind of kicked off my addiction of multiplayer shooters. Granted, this game is third person, and I primarily like first person games, but SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs. Um, Me and my brother. So when you bought that game, it came with the network adapter for PlayStation 2. So unless you had this PS2 Slim that had it built into it, you had to get the little square network adapter that went on the back of the console. But we used to play SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs all night long, and the community for that was crazy strong because it was an original, one of the first online games. Especially, I'm pretty sure in general, outside of like people doing LAN stuff, but for console, 100% it was the first online game, and it was ah, groundbreaking. It was amazing to be able to stay up all night, play with people across the world, and really just try something new. It was new at the time, so it came with a
Why did
little
the
full
title
Slim.
get dropped for that?
It didn't. They kept it. It was around for a couple games. They did. I know up to three. They did a PSP version, and they dropped it because no major gaming company knows how to do it right after they've done it right. They're always chasing their own ass because they don't understand what made their game great. That is why all these games fall off. So anyway, that's
Yeah,
my
it's a
number
shame.
one. So yours was San Andreas, probably
That's
around in
not my
there.
number one.
Oh no.
That's my number probably my number three.
Okay, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Go
Threw
for
a
your
tangent
number
on you.
two. I went number one first, so we'll mix it
Um,
up.
Couple of fun ones I'll mix in that don't count. Wii Sports, fun.
No.
Modern Warfare 2, good time.
Good times, but I will never say it was in my top at all.
All right, my number 2. Let's go with Tony Hawk's Underground.
Over
Um,
Skate, huh?
I prefer Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 through 4 and Tony Hawk's Underground 1 as probably my favorite skating games growing up because I didn't have Skate wasn't out yet when I was that age. So I
Well,
was playing Tony Hawk 1 and 2.
yeah.
But then when Skate 3 came out, actually you're right, Skate was probably out. I only played Skate
It,
3.
it came out what, early 2000s probably, mid 2000s, early to mid 2000s.
You're a Skate 2 guy, right?
Um I like the whole Skate series. I think I disliked 3 the most because of the kind of lean into the Tony Hawkish gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
You could do it in all the games, but Skate 1 was more raw. If I was to pick my favorite Skate game outside of Sessions and Skater XL, which are the two kind of like modern day Skate games, I would say Thrasher Skate and Destroy was my favorite Skate game. The button layout of it was a little shit because it was an original like OG game. It was on PlayStation 1. So it was OG. I think, yeah, it was PlayStation 1. So it was a super OG game. It was before developers really figured out what works, and we didn't have analog sticks on those controllers. I mean, they had analog sticks,
Yeah.
but 90% of people just had the straight up PlayStation 1 controller.
I,
Um,
w- I
Go ahead.
I will say to add into Tony Hawk, really the reason that game was I liked being able to just turn my brain off and play a game and then talk to your girlfriend on the side, whatever, just go around, skate around. I like the challenge aspect of this game. Some of the challenges a little bit more than Skate.
Yeah.
And I think Skate was probably more satisfying when you complete challenges. But when we got into college, man, we'd play horse for hours on
Yeah.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2
Yeah.
and 4. We just get in a room and
Four,
play horse.
I think 4 was the best. Or no, 3 or 4. I don't remember. I'd have to see it to know. One of those was my favorite Tony Hawk game. I don't know if it was 3 or 4. It was where it kind of changed art style, where they got away from like the PlayStation 1, 2 ish kind of blocky feel, and they went for more of a realistic body shape.
Yeah.
I don't remember which one that was, but
I can't either. Yeah, they're all kind of blended in at this point.
yeah, they're. I can't hate on the games because they were doing something that nobody else did, and they definitely had a feeling to them when it comes to the soundtrack and just the game in general. But when Skate came out, see, I always played Tony Hawk's as realistically as possible, but in that game, it's super impossible to really be satisfied with doing a kickflip down a staircase because one, your kickflip's like 400 feet high. It's not, you can't just do a little flick down the stairs so you land like right at the edge of the last step. But that's what I liked about Skate was that you could put it on essentially hardcore mode where you don't even land every kickflip sometimes depending on if you popped it right or not.
The last thing I'll say about this is the story was spectacular for Underground. That's why I picked that one.
I honestly have
Um,
no opinion on it. I did not play Underground. I was already done with the Tony Hawk series at that point.
Basically, you're a young and upcoming guy who has nothing going for him but skating. Your best friend's a skater too, and he's just this slime bag that keeps taking your opportunities every chance he gets. And
Dickhead.
then at the end, you get a chance to finally take it to him.
Hmm. Yeah, never played it, so I don't. I don't know. So that's your number 2.
Yep.
I would say my number 2, and this is only because nostalgia wins most of the time, is gonna be Gran Turismo. Doesn't matter which one it is. The only one I haven't played is the most. There you go. Yeah, I'm jealous that you have the hard copy of that game. To be honest, um, 1 and 2 I spent a lot of time in, and 3 I'm just saying GT as a series, and the one I spent the most time in that wasn't online would be GT3 A-Spec. That game was fucking amazing. I did so many of those stupid endurance races. I don't even know how I did them. But that would be That would be my number 2 game for sure.
How long do those last? Endurance races.
They go between 3 hours. Some of them are up to like 10, 12 hours. They have ones that are 24 hours, but I dare not get involved in those unless I got a rubber band tied to my joystick and something compressing the gas.
That game influenced my like car passion big
Oh,
time.
100%. It probably did that for a lot of people because I think it's Kazunori Yamauchi. I think is his name. I know they call him Kaz, but he's the lead behind Polyphony Digital, who does all the Gran Turismo games, and his passion comes through in his games when it comes to the detail of cars. So yeah, it definitely influenced mine. I don't really care for cars too much in real life, but I can definitely respect a beautiful car for sure.
I love the aspect of the map layout they had in Gran Turismo 2, where you could choose to like go to Ford and buy Ford, and they would show it
Mm-hmm.
in like geographically where it's
They
at or
educate you
different things.
slightly, yeah. They
Yep.
give you a little bit of background. Every car has if you read it or not, they all have descriptions in them. And then by the time it got to 3 is when they started rendering most interiors. They didn't render cheaper cars like older 90s like Civics and stuff like that. They put a generic cockpit view. But uh, really, that was where uh, a lot of people's kind of understanding and passion for cars started was playing that game, especially my age. Unless you had like a dad with a brother who was a mechanic, but come on now. Yeah. And you're number 3.
Um, so this would technically be my number one.
Oh, that's
Um,
right. Mine, I'm reverse.
yeah, that's not a bad way to do it.
Whatever.
Number one for me, I'll spiel on it for a minute. I know Deuce hasn't even gotten to play this one, I don't think so. NFL Street 2. On the cover here, you have Exhibit and a guy that looks like Triple H, but it's just some random guy. So Exhibit was the sponsor for this. That was when Pimp My Ride was just blown up. Long story short, they have about 6 awesome mini multiplayer modes. The campaign was awesome. You basically build a character to own the city, basically, and there's tons of different challenges. But as far as 2-player cooperative campaign related things, this is one of the best games probably ever made in the football industry. It's one of EA's last good sports games, in my opinion, made by EA Big. Um,
EA Sports.
yes, soundtrack was great. You could jump off the walls, catch balls. You could style in people's face. So growing up on the playground, you used to play NFL Street 1, and like we'd play football on the playground and do all sorts of NFL Street stuff.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did the 1v1 start as a loading screen for a two for a full NBA game before it came to NBA Street? I have a feeling it was kind of like a pregame thing back before NBA Street came out. Because Street's kind of in the same vein as NFL Blitz, right? Although
Correct.
Blitz was Nordic or THQ, I think, before it was
Yeah,
Nordic.
yeah, it's made by a different developer.
Yeah.
And people that nut over Blitz, in my opinion, probably just haven't played enough NFL Street 2 because Blitz was way more clunky. It had
Oh yeah.
very cool features. There needs to be a blend. If you could make NFL Street 2 M for mature, it'd be way better than Blitz.
Fuck you. Blitz was
But
amazing.
both had amazing aspects. So
Yeah.
the fact of like juicing your guy up when he's injured on Blitz, that was sick. They both kind of went for some sort of game breaker aspect. Blitz might have been before in NFL Street. I'm actually
Uh,
not sure.
Blitz was Blitz was way early. Blitz would have been PlayStation 1. Yeah.
I think they
I
had an
think PlayStation 1.
N64 Blitz that wasn't Blitz the League. It was something
You're
else.
right. There, it was on N64. I'm not gonna see. This is why I need to get a second monitor plugged in. It's on my kitchen counter. My other one. Um, who cares? I'm not gonna look into the details of it. We can do that another time. But anyway, yeah, Blitz was like a staple. What came before Blitz
I
though
I,
was
I
NBA
agree.
Jam. NBA Jam was really what set that kind of game mode up. God, NBA Jam, holy shit, that's super old school. Okay, So my number 3 game, in actually number 3, not in reverse order here. I shot my load quick. Would be Tarkov. I don't know if you'd have guessed that one or not, but Escape from Tarkov has consumed my life for the last 5 or so years. Um, I have probably around about 3,700 hours in it right now, which for some people is not a lot, and for some people is a crazy amount. It just really depends. The people that stream it, like Landmark, those guys have 12 plus thousand hours in that game, and I don't count them because they're not normal. They literally get paid to play that game. I do not get paid to play that game. I attempted to, but it made me too nervous to play and have people watch me. I like when I can sit and think and not be overwhelmed with other people's eyes watching me. But yeah, Escape from Tarkov, it's got a lot going on. It satisfies my desire to play stealthy if you want, run and gun if you want. The mechanics of the game are amazing. Unlike Counter-Strike where you shoot, you hit. Grant's not in here, but he would be like, Counter-Strike's the greatest game of all time. I'm a pro, semi-pro. My brother's a pro. Yeah, well, that game's shit. Anyway. Yeah, so number 3 of mine would be Escape from Tarkov.
Played it last night together.
We did.
It is exhilarating.
I've been playing PvE, though. 99% of my hours are PvP. Don't get me wrong. I love the online aspect of it. But playing PvE has been very refreshing. It has allowed me to enjoy the game again, not be stressed about stuff unless you're a PBR here who screams when the AI are pushing him.
Something's more intense about an AI than it is about a human for some reason.
Because they don't miss. When they want to, they're going to kill you. There's no debating it. But yeah. So that would be, the games I played and the games I play kind of in my top for sure. What else we got? I'd say so far. Oh, go ahead.
The way I describe the sensation I get playing that game is like last night when you have this backpack full of loot. It's like giving a kid $1,000 in a gym and putting all the other kids on the other side of the gym and saying, if you get to the other side without getting touched, you get to keep the $1,000.
Yeah.
That's the feeling I got.
Some kid's gonna throw a dumbbell at your head, so you gotta expect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tarkov is a lot of fun, unless you're at a super high level where you're at I'm just gonna use Landmark for example because that's the first name that comes to my head. He's realistically the only streamer / YouTuber I watch other than Very Bad Scav. But I don't really watch Very Bad Scav for his gameplay. I watch him for his insight and opinions on stuff. But anyway, unless you're at that super high level, the game is, Grant says it best, it's a horror game. It really is a game that just, your heart is pounding because you never know when some crabby bitch is going to be sitting in a plant, waiting for you to get to extract. I've only been extract camped like 3 times in the entire time I've played the game. It does not happen as much as you would think watching people like Xville Camper and fucking I forget the other guy's name, Stankrat. Like that gameplay style is not really that big of a deal. It's not, doesn't affect the game, but to know that those people exist every single time you're 20 feet from the exfil, you're just like breathing like a pregnant woman.
Reserve especially.
Yeah, reserve is rough. If you don't have a red rebel and a paracord, reserve is rough because going out on D2 is one of the scariest fucking things because as soon as you open a door, someone's going to huck an impact grenade at the ground, which I wish they would remove impact grenades, to be honest, remove trip mines and get rid of GLs and stop adding shit that just allows people who are wanting and willing to cheese the game. I wish it was a little more punishing to those who didn't have shooting ability. Because we play arena and you hold your own in arena. Sometimes you go off, but I hate to toot my own horn here, but in arena I shit on people because I understand the game's mechanics and a lot of what is in the main game is not in arena. You know what to expect when you're playing arena. The worst case is somebody throws a flashbang at you and you're running around like a fucking chicken with your head cut off. But you know, I haven't played it recently, and you can do custom kits now. But you just knew what class somebody was. You knew what gun they had just based on their loadout that you could see them wearing. So you kind of had a expectation of what you were fighting and how you could counter it, as opposed to when you're playing, PvP online raids, and you never know what you're gonna run into. I've ran into some Alton dudes with a 366 bolt action and won the fight, but it was one of those moments where you're celebrating that you just shot this guy in his face.
I'd say like with this game, you have to get if you never played it. Let's say you're a person listening and you never played the game. You have to have hours in the game to understand because there's no kill cam. So if you die, you have no idea like what the fuck happened. You just are like, so you try to dissect what the fuck happened to yourself, and you're like, was it a cheater? Was I just an
That's
idiot that
yeah.
didn't know what I was doing? And Deuce is a way better at understanding that, so he can the more you play, the more you understand not to make the same mistake twice. And the way you do that is by fucking up and making that mistake
Oh yeah. I highly
and learning.
recommend for anybody who hasn't played much but has played a little enough to know. If you have more than 20 hours in the game, there's a series by fuck, I forget their name, Dirt something. But they do like a Tarkov series where it's like noobs playing the game and them just experiencing that they have to eat, that they have to fix their wounds after every raid, because if you go into another raid, those conditions follow you into the next one. So
Yeah, the guy
it's
like he doesn't have an arm, right? He
yeah.
like they shoot a video or he starts a raid without an arm.
Yeah, where he dies from hunger, something like that. Anyway, there's a lot. They equate the game to getting kicked in the nuts, and they're not wrong. That game definitely kicks you in the balls, especially when you have as much time invested in it as me. Being someone that doesn't get paid to play the game or make content from it really anymore. That you know, it's a punishing game, but it's like a BDSM of video games. Like you're like, yeah, harder, daddy.
I I I gotta add in too, like without us going into a full Tarkov episode because we could easily.
I could talk about this
Um,
game for a year.
yeah, this fucking game, it's in quote unquote beta, right? So although the game is like hashed out and you're dying all the time and it's hardcore, it also kind of fucks up and is glitchy half the time. So like last night I was playing one of the harder to run maps, or 2 nights ago with Deuce, and I just completely lost sound for the whole raid. I couldn't hear anything. So there's things that add to it that aren't just really
It's a game
finite
with
and
its
good.
with its issues. You definitely, excuse me. I left a game off my list. I'm gonna give this as an honorable mention. It's Medal of Honor Warfighter, and a lot of people will say meh, but those of us who, if you were like a Call of Duty main and you started experimenting with Battlefield, and you kind of wanted to meet in the middle, Medal of Honor Warfighter for me was one of the best games I ever played. It's not on my top though because it was a short-lived experience, but it was one of the best games I ever played, especially when it came to just the way the multiplayer was. But the problem was there was a bunch of audio issues where you couldn't hear your teammates, and in that game, they had, I forget what it was called now, Fire Team. So it was, let's just say 6 people per team, and 3 teams of 2 within those teams. So you had your fire team buddy, and if you played with your fire team buddy, you could reload off of him and you could get health and stuff off of them. So playing together was very important. But when you can't talk to the other person and you're playing online because the chat's not working and your friends are relaying things through other people, it gets real frustrating. So there was a bunch of bugs in that game that EA never fixed. They killed the service of that game so fucking fast, it was disrespectful to those of us who were playing it. Because I think I put 100 hours in a month, and I was working a full-time job at that time. So it was one of those games that just hooked me in, and everything about it I loved. The maps I loved, the community was fucking amazing, but it died away because EA was too worried about money and the next project, not about making a game they have something that that was more fine tuned. Like with Battlefield, when they come out and they're bad, because Battlefield's such a huge fucking title, they fix it. It might take them a year and a half, but they fix it. And with that game, they did not fix it, and they totally killed it. And I don't know how I tangented off into that, but I don't remember what my point was anymore. Do you?
Audio. I think it was
Oh,
just relating to audio.
yeah. So in that case, that game came out and it killed the game. Just things like that, But with Tarkov, you know, hey, fuck you, get over it. It's a one raid pussy.
And we've each played probably 100. I played more than 100 games. So if we get into games, we'll probably tangent off into that pretty often on this podcast, I
Don't
imagine.
call it that. It's disgusting. This is not a podcast. Not married to the name.
Yep. Oh, I'm not saying it's a video game thing. Hell
What?
no.
No, I'm saying podcast. Don't use that word. It's disgusting.
Ooh.
This is an online radio show.
Yes.
But anyway, do we want to call it there for this first one, or do we want to because I could talk to you all day about this stupid shit. To be honest,
Do we want to just mention some future ideas quick?
yeah, sure.
Then,
I mean, you go, and then I'll kind of tee off of anything you say.
we'd like this to kind of relay into a Discord at some point and get people involved in a Discord chat.
Or some type of community forum where I don't want it to be in the comment section. I think that's boring interaction, and it's hard to track. Mostly because I don't have notifications on there, so I don't even see when people respond to comments I make on other videos, which are usually inappropriate because I'm an asshole on the internet. That's one thing I did want to talk about in the future, was how the internet has changed and what it used to be versus what it is now, in terms of people's opinion on it and what's appropriate online. I'm gonna actually write that down because that's something I do want to get into at some point.
Yeah, we're thinking we'll talk about role playing, RP conversation,
ERP
talking
for
about
sure.
just general what we think about some of the industries, things that are happening in different industries, gaming specifically, but also other industries. What else are we thinking? Got all sorts of like to be on different platforms, possibly have some TikTok or Instagram stuff going on.
Pornhub for
That
sure.
would be a goal. Yeah, Pornhub. Because just listening to Deuce is straight ASMR for women.
Listen to this beard.
Once they see that lifted up bed, they go crouch under there and wait, and then
Let me let you know. Yeah, I got
he just
Rose.
calls up when the next one's in
Yeah,
line.
don't tell my girlfriend that, but she's been holding up the line.
Yeah.
So what else? We want to have friends on, just to give different perspective on different things. Obviously, we will fine tune kind of the layout of the podcast dish thing.
Yeah, we're not going to call it a podcast because there might be days where we're dragging shit onto the screen. We might play a game someday and just be live playing a game,
Yeah,
casually having conversation, or I mean, it just depends.
yeah, not married to the name and not married to the format. So, yeah, I think we'll have some fun with it. To be honest, the fact that we sat down and actually knocked this out in one take, really. I mean, we talked for about 30 seconds before we started, recording this, and I'd say the flow has been pretty good so far. We have enough to say that the two of us can fill the time.
Yeah.
Except for right there.
So if you heard this, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. We like feedback.
We're not gonna read it though.
Yeah, we're not gonna. Deuce isn't gonna read it.
One of the things that I plan on doing with this is not reading. Outside of like if a community forum, if we got something, like I'll read into that, and I'll probably look at comments if this guy caps them and send it. But I don't want to know numbers. I don't want to know how many dislikes. I don't want to know that, because that is slowly what destroyed me in streaming, was statistic chasing. And I feel like the genuineness of what's being said and how you portray yourself kind of goes out the window when you start chasing stats, because you're like, oh, that worked. Those people like me. They'll suck my dick now. No. No thanks. No thanks.
Yeah, it's tough.
It definitely
But
is. And
yeah, that's all I had. I
if we have any buddies, any friends that start up doing this after we do, I'm gonna fucking murder you. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna find where you
Leave
live.
us alone.
We know what states you're in.
Yeah.
It's only a step away from finding out where your houses are, and we're coming.
That's gonna get taken out of context. What else?
Good.
Yeah, what else? I think I definitely don't want to get into streaming again, but I think maybe if we get comfortable enough over time, we might take this to like Kick or something, and make it a live thing. I think uh, I think that'd be fun to kind of build a small community in one place and see if you can at least get a 16th of it to follow you over to live. Um,
We haven't set a goal as far as like how often we want to do this, but I'd hope at least once a week is probably what our goal would be to start out. It's hard to get a schedule set up. It'd probably be on weekends that we do our recording, and then because we talked about maybe doing recording during the daytime, so might do a weekend recording and then upload it whenever we talk about. We haven't
yeah,
really set any goals for that.
yeah. It's really gonna depend on what we have to talk about. Maybe we change shirts and record two in one day. um, that way we can for sure have content
We
dropping
do
regularly.
understand. Yeah, we understand that consistency is important. So we want to have a consistent um, release for you guys. Just hashing out when we do that is what we're going to be talking about next, probably.
Yeah. Other than that, fuck yeah, I'm excited. I think we have
I've
a little bit of potential here.
I've got a good idea actually for you.
Have you written it down yet?
No, I think we dress up for our next one for Halloween.
I am dressed up. I'm wearing an orange shirt. Look at that. It says LARF. It's embroidered LARF on the front.
Yep,
Actually, the whole back of this shirt is done too. But
pretty
whatever.
sick.
Yeah. We can talk about like what we're doing. Like plans for the future. Like me and my lady, we've been working on doing a clothing thing. I've tried to do a clothing thing in the past, on my own, but when it's a one man band, the motivation runs out quickly. And I think with her and I, it's still going to be kind of the same direction I was going, but with a little bit of a lot of bit of her influence on the direction, just because I need somebody to kind of point and tell me what we're doing. That way I can do it without thinking too much. But anyway, that'll be for the future, I think. I think we need to come up with a logo for sure. Something we can do, not like shirts, but just stickers, just something simple. Because I have the means, so we might as well take
Yep,
advantage of our situation. Even if it's sending them for free, like it just get on a mailing list and we'll send you some free stickers, kind of thing.
yep,
I'm not opposed to that. I have everything it takes to do that, and a postage is not very much, especially for a thing that has 0 viewers. So, so
yeah.
it
True
is what
that.
it is. Yeah. So anyway, this is not married to the name, and we'll see where this goes. It'll be a little bit more fine tuned, I think. The next one, because we'll have a little bit more time.
Expect some laughs. This was an intro. We're gonna
Yeah.
have some
Yeah.
funny ass conversation.
Yep.
Like it's gonna be great.
Human conversation, and if we get banned in the process, it is what it is. I'm not scared of the machine. So anyway, I appreciate you guys for stopping by if you did, and I guess we'll see you next time.